Hi, it's Pastor Paul L. Anderson here at the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, where we believe God's blessings never stop flowing. It is Fantastic Friday. We thank God how He has brought us to this point in this week. And during this week, we have heard and seen so much. You can't help but notice all the things that are happening as it relates to people being massacred, people being shot down with these high-powered rifles. We must continue to pray. We must thank God that His hand is always on and around our lives, even in trying and tragic situations. Today, I want to ask that you would please make sure that you keep all of these situations, as we've seen so much gun violence in our country, that we will keep all of these families, these victims, and even those who are the perpetrators and their families. Please keep them lifted up in prayer, because together we can make this all turn around. Today, I want to invite you to look with me into Galatians, the 6th chapter, verses 7 through 10 from the New Living Translation. I want to couch this behind the word perseverance. Perseverance. Paul writes this letter to the church of Galatia, and as he's writing to them, he wants to remind them of a few things. Today, I want to remind you, as I remind myself, of a few things that we can find in God's word. The first thing he says to them is, don't be misled. You cannot mock the justice of God. Don't be misled. See, oftentimes in this life, we sometimes get misled. We think that God's justice means just us acting on God's behalf. But God's justice has a way in which God knows how to take care of situations, persons, and things. This text helps us to understand that we should not be misled. We should not be deceived. We should not find ourselves believing something that is not true. And the second point, he says that you will always harvest what you plant. You will always harvest what you plant. In essence, he says, you will harvest whatever you put in the ground. It is so important for us to know that we must plant the good seeds that God has given to us. But in this text, it's not necessarily talking about seeds that you put in the ground, but he uses it as an analogy to remind us all that whatever we say, whatever we do, is like a seed that is planted in the soil. And in due season and in time, it will come up. It will come up to be either those things that we have sown that is positive, or those things that we've sown that is negative. You will see it grow. You will see it grow, sometimes overnight, sometimes very rapidly, sometimes very slowly. The third thing he says, those who live only to satisfy their own sinful nature will harvest decay and death from their sinful nature. But those who live to please the Spirit will harvest everlasting life from the Spirit. It lets us see that if we only think about the here and now, if we only sow to our natural desires, that is exactly what we will reach. We must remind ourselves that this life in which we live, it is more than what we see. This life that we live, it is more that is being portrayed on TV. This life that we live is more than what is seen with the natural eye. It's so much greater. It's a spiritual thing. The Bible reminds us that we're fighting a spiritual battle, and we don't wrestle against flesh and blood and principalities, but we wrestle against evil in high places, evil in spiritual places. So he tells us, let's not get tired. Number 4, let's not get tired of doing good. At just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessings if we don't give up. In essence, he's saying that we must persevere. Too oftentimes we give up when our breakthrough is right on the edge. You know, many times we forget, and we have to remind ourselves of that poem. Never give up. We must make sure that we never quit. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, and when the road that you're trudging seems all uphill, when care is pressing you down your bit, rest you must, but don't you quit. We must not quit. We must persevere. We should never give up, because God reminds us that He has something great in store for us. We must focus our energy and our time sowing into the Spirit. Lastly, he says, therefore, whenever we have the opportunity, we should do good to everyone, especially those who are part of the family of faith. He leaves us with a great nugget of truth. Every opportunity we have, do good, persevere. Don't give up on doing good. Even though it seems that evil is everywhere, don't give up on giving good. He tells us to persevere. We can never give up on doing the good that God has bestowed upon us, the good that God has shared with us. We need to share it with someone else. All you have to do is pass it on. It is such a simple thing. And so today, I hope you will pass on the good that God has given to you, and that we would understand that perseverance is the word that will always be our guide. He tells us to do good, and especially to those who are the household of faith. So oftentimes, I believe that in the family of faith, the household of faith, that we should do more and more for each other to encourage each other, to let all of ourselves know that don't ever quit, don't ever give up, but to persevere. Today, you might feel like you're at the end of your rope. I want to encourage you, tie a knot and hold on. Why? Because in this year of 2022, I believe God has a very special blessing in store for you, and you are exceedingly and abundantly blessed. And we'll see you on tomorrow.
To sow a seed to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, visit our newly redesigned website, thefountainofraleigh.org, and select Sow a Seed from the homepage. Also, giving has been made easier with the new Fountain of Raleigh app, available now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Download today, select Giving from the main menu, and then follow the directions to complete your giving through Subsplash.
Thank you so very much for all of your gifts and donations that you've given to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship. We thank you for what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, and what you will do in the future. Your gifts and donations helps us to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, not only locally, but throughout the world. Thank you again for your gifts, and may God continue to richly bless you. It is here at the Fountain that we believe that we are exceedingly and abundantly blessed, and may you receive those blessings that God has in store for you.